went and got them, but then when I came back, I was like, I got the 40s. He's like, what, man? Fucking.
So did you really think you were gonna trade 2 40s for a bicycle?
Stranger things have happened.
It's true.
And quite frankly, I thought that he would want the 40s more than he would want the $20.
Yeah, but
living that homeless life.
But like with that $20, he can get like drugs.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And way more 40s.
A lot of the homeless dudes are like kicked out of the liquor stores, though.
I'm sure, but there's got to be some that they can get into. By the way, guys, welcome to the St. Patrick's Day episode of the Lazy Susans podcast. I'm Glenn.
Oh, is it St. Patty's Day?
It is St. Patrick's Day.
Jerk my fucking gherkin twice. This is Dillon Walsh. I fucked your sister.
He did not fuck your sister, but he might have fucked your sister.
Thank you, Glenn.
It's true. I mean, I don't say anything with certitude. You know, like anything could have happened. Although the one time I've seen Dillon like snap was when I told him that I found his sister attractive.
Yeah,
see,
not.
See, it's happening right now. No,
I love my sister.
I love his sister too.
I saw her as a little baby girl.
Yes. No, I know. But then he told me how old she was, and I immediately felt like a Clinton.
The Clintons do rape.
The pedophiles, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But this is not a political podcast. Although we may talk.
It could be.
We may touch on some.
Welcome to Chapo Trap House.
That was ripe.
I hope that picked up.
I think it did because we got a new mic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that next time, though, I need to get, like, right on it and just fucking fart full into the mic.
Next time.
Yeah.
And we are in a closed room.
Christen it, dude.
I think, yes.
We're christening it with my butt stank.
Oh, man. Dude, it's warm in here.
I can open the window if you want.
No,
then
we'll
get some highway noise.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of highway noise. Because we are overlooking 95 here, which is nice. In beautiful Providence, Rhode Island, across the street from the homeless shelter, which is always good if you need drugs. Or a very cheap blowjob, or apparently a bicycle.
But not for 240s.
Not for 240s. This is
you got to give them money.
Yeah, you got to give them money because they sold that bicycle fair and square.
Dude, it crossed my mind that I was like, I wonder if this dude is selling me someone else's bike.
He's 100%.
But I actually saw him today, and he was like, "Hey, you still got that bike?" But I think it was his bike. Now, he found it somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking was like I was picturing another homeless dude coming back to the spot where the bike was and being like, "What the fuck?" But it wasn't locked up or anything. He was hanging with it.
So I lived in the south end of Boston once, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which is like on one side of Mass Ave.
Glenn, every bike is someone else's bike. If you think about it.
Well, I had bought this bike off of one of my semi-homeless, like heroin addict friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes he had a place to stay, sometimes he didn't. You know, and I had bought this bike off of him. I think
coolest kind of guy, by the way.
Best guy. He used to come over and do his laundry at my place when my girlfriend wasn't there.
Love that.
Yeah, just
love that.
For free drugs for me. You know, it was a win-win.
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Yeah. And his like, you know, like homeless people, like they shack up. There's always like there's a homeless guy and a homeless girl, right? Like they tend to like travel in twos.
I feel like I don't see that as much in Providence.
But in Boston,
it's big.
Yeah, it's big.
There's lots of homeless couples.
Right.
I don't know why it is that I don't see it in Providence as much. Maybe they just don't need somebody the culture, but
they don't need somebody to guard their campsite while they're out foraging.
But if you think about it, basically homeless people are like hunter-gatherers.
No, they really are.
They're like the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies.
Which is who you should be selling your home defense spears to, evidently.
You think that I should be selling these to homeless people?
Yeah, so they can hunt squirrels, you know? Well, that's more of a bat. I'm talking about, like, for those that don't know, like, Dillon Walsh is...
Imagine I just smash your microphone.
I would kill you. Dillon Walsh is not only a comedian, but he's also a...
master craftsman.
Master craftsman / indoor woodsman. It's
I like to make weapons out of wood. And other things out of wood, but mostly weapons, because I am a 12-year-old boy.
Right. Well, some people have, like, bomb shelters for the end of the world. He's just got, like, wood spears and things that you can just...
I'm going to carve this one down on one end, so it's like a caveman club.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like I said.
Can you picture it? Like, shave it down real... small, so it sort of like gradually gets thicker.
I gotta ask, when did this start for you?
When I was, dude.
How did it start?
You know what? Fucking, it all goes back to when I was a very small boy. I lived in this house in Arlington, Massachusetts.
Strongest accents in Massachusetts, my opinion.
Old Victorian that had belonged to my great-grandmother. And it was a beautiful house. And it was, like, so cool. It's why I still love places like this today. Like, one of the things I love about this apartment is that, like, the rooms don't really match up. They used to build shit that way. Like, there's all sorts of cubby holes and fucking little crawl spaces and shit.
Right.
And that's what this house was like. And it was surrounded by trees. So there was always all these sticks in the yard, and I would go out and play with sticks. And I think that that's really where my love of it started.
Okay. That all makes sense.
I really think I'm continuing that to this day.
It all comes back to childhood, doesn't it?
Well, everything does, doesn't it?
Apparently. But, yeah.
This is the Duncan Trussell family hour.
We're the Waltons. But when did the actual, like, spear making and, like, you know, amateur
I got into it hardcore at the beginning of COVID because I was at least 70% convinced that then, like, not the end of the world, but that I might have to use some of that shit.
Okay.
Dude, I was sincerely I don't even want to say that on the podcast necessarily. I wanted to buy a gun. But I'm not going to talk about the specifics of it. But I almost ended up
buying. I mean, that's a normal.
Buying
a lot of people
gun
did.
Totally legally and in a way that was not scary at all. But yeah, I wanted to buy a gun.
Considering you just bought a bike for what you thought was $240s, I'm going to say that may be a tall tale as far as the legality of the gun purchase. But we can let that slide, I think. But yeah, I mean that's a normal thing.
Are you saying that look, I don't even want to get into it. You know, that's right. It was definitely a tall tale.
It was a tall tale. We're just gonna leave. But I mean, that's the thing.
I never wanted to buy a gun.
Gun sales went through the fucking roof at the beginning of COVID, so that's not. Like,
there were a lot of liberal people going like, I believe in gun control, but now that things are actually affecting me. Which is always the way it fucking goes, right?
Yeah, I mean...
People are so fucking just sheep lemmings. Shemmings!
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, I mean, like, a lot of my sort of social welfare leanings did change, with my heroin addiction, you know? Like, because all of a sudden I needed a fucking support system, you know? Because I was a horrible fucking human being.
So previously you were going like, these
fuck 'em
people
all.
Fucking sucking off the government.
Yeah, right.
What pieces of shit. And then you got addicted to heroin. And
I
you
was
were
like,
please give me welfare.
Not welfare.
I need food stamps.
I only got food stamps while I was in rehab. Because they didn't really feed us.
But that's exactly the type of people. Why should the government pay for you to make mistakes and get back on your feet.
Right.
You did it to yourself, blah, blah, blah.
Well, my grandfather
and then you
had...
find yourself in that position, and you're like, oh, this is what this is for.
Well, that was the argument I always had with my sister, was like, she's like, well, our grandfather had 4 jobs and 6 kids, and they paid their house off in like 2 years, so, everyone should be able to do that. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Your grandfather was an addict of a different kind if he had 4 jobs.
Yeah, he hated his wife.
Yeah. Fucking, everybody's got their fucking issues, dude.
Yeah. Well,
anybody who pretends to not, those are the people who will someday have bodies found under their houses. I'm convinced of that.
He was, yeah, I don't know. I haven't had any grandparents alive in a long time, but yeah, no, I come from a long line of misogynists.
Or they're the people who are like, oh, fucking, they pretend like they have it all together. Those are the people that are going and, like, paying a mistress to fucking piss on them and beat them,
I'm sure, yeah, that probably does happen. Do you watch?
They say
did you
that
watch Billions?
They say that a lot of like control freak, fucking, and they say They say that like a lot of high powered women, when they get into the bedroom, they want to be like
dominated. Yeah, they want to be dominated. No, but like, do you watch Billions?
Shout out fucking Danny Soder, but no, I don't watch it.
Dan Soder is like one of my favorite parts of that.
Is he in it like a lot?
He's in it a fair amount, yeah. He's in almost every episode, I would say.
Word. I would check it out.
You should check it out.
What's it on?
Showtime. Shout out Showtime.
If I can get it on
I'm sure you can
my Fire Stick
trade a couple 40s for it. For a password for Showtime. That's going to be a running joke.
Are you like let down that the story wasn't that fun?
No, well, because you texted me and I immediately showed like 4 people at the mic. He's like, I'll be right there. I'm trading 240s for a bicycle.
See, at that point, I probably thought that I actually was, though. Because I went and bought the 40s. They're in my fridge. I really thought that the guy was going to trade me the bike for the 240s.
Did you at least get malt liquor?
And then yes, of course.
Okay.
In fact, one of them was a double malt.
Oh!
I figured this is worth
2 bicycles.
Yeah. No, I genuinely thought I was going to buy, and then when I went to tell the story on stage, I was like, it's so much funnier to say that I traded this dude a couple of 40s than to say, like, I almost traded him a couple of 40s, but then you wanted 20
Yeah,
bucks.
no, you got to exaggerate you got to just go with the original.
So, But, yeah, when I texted you, I did go buy the 40s.
I immediately showed, obviously I showed Chris, and I showed somebody, forgot who the
If
other
it's
person
funny,
was.
it
Like,
doesn't necessarily need to be true.
No, but as a text message with no context. Like, hey, why isn't Dillon at the mic yet? His name's on the list. Oh, yeah, he signed up, and then he went to go trade 240s for a bicycle real quick. Like, Dillon Walsh.
Dillon Walsh!
Yeah. That was one of your better sets, I think. Like, 'cause when you get self-deprecating, it's good. Which is the turn that I've taken recently, is I'm just going all self-deprecating shit.
I could try to be more self-deprecating, but the whole Dillon Walsh thing, I feel like I could work it into a bit, but that particular, I could definitely work that into a bit, and I would just have to figure out how to, like, start it.
Just stand,
and then,
dude, just stand in front of a mirror for like a half an hour and just be like, what do people think when they see me? That's what I do.
But that night, that was like one of those lightning in a bottle moments.
No, it was good.
The dude introduced me a certain way, and then fucking I was working off of that.
Yeah.
I forget exactly.
That wasn't the night Holly hosted? Because I think maybe she just followed you. I think she just followed you because I was going to do the Dillon Walsh thing, and then she did, and I was like, that's the issue with when you have like 40 people at open mics. Like, by the time, if you go up late, most people have at least done one. Like, there's probably been at least 2, if not 3 jokes that have been done on the same premise that you're about to do. Nice, not a pinky ring on your pinky.
It's a pinky ring. Do they make specific rings for pinkies?
They do.
I thought that you just get a small ring.
I think.
What differentiates a pinky ring?
I think there's a generally accepted. I think that the ring
This
that's
is a pinky ring and a knuckle ring.
well, it's because it doesn't go over your swollen knuckles. The one that's this is bad. 'Cause for the audience, he wears a lot of rings, paints his nails. You know, it's what you think.
I'm a fag.
He's not a fag. He just knows who he is. I don't know what that means, but the ring that's on your ring finger, like the Irish whatever, that looks more like what I would think of a pinky ring.
Weird, because I would definitely consider this a knuckle ring because it's definitely like a single finger brass knuckle.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
This is like a biker ring, almost. I'm not saying that because I'm a biker.
I don't even know what a biker ring is.
I'm not cool at all. Fucking, they'll sell I believe, and again, this is me speaking completely out of school, I don't know. But I believe that some bikers will wear heavy rings like this.
For the punching?
So when they punch.
Yeah, it's like brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like brass knuckles without having to deal with having brass knuckles.
So I had a friend.
That's also bike. I know this for a fact. Bikers, I don't know if this is still true, but historically, a widely used weapon for some biker groups was like a ball hammer. And it was because it was something that they could reasonably carry around with them that was not considered a weapon, would not get taken away, and would draw less suspicion, and can do a fucking lot of damage, you know?
Speaking of bikers, that's why it's one of the reasons we don't have as much meth here.
Because we don't have as many bikers?
Correct.
I always thought it was because the mafia didn't want it around.
The mafia...
Because this is like the last...
That's like the biggest lie ever fucking
part
told.
of the country that the mafia supposedly is like in control of.
Well, okay. That could be... I'm awesome. You're killing me here, Smalls. So, apparently Dillon stole a Black Lives Matter poster. But, that said, yeah, no, Providence is widely known to be still like a mafia stronghold, right? An Italian mafia stronghold, I should say. However...
As opposed to what other
Russian.
Russian? Do they call it the mafia, though?
Amongst other words, but yeah, the Russian mob.
Yeah, I was the Russian mob,
Yeah.
the triads.
Yeah. The Irish mob. The Irish mob was much bigger.
Yeah, but they never
Boston.
said the Irish mafia.
They said the Irish mob.
It was always the mob. Yeah.
But mob, whatever. Italian mob.
The Jewish mob.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of that here, but...
I don't think that Jewish organized crime, I think, is...
kind of dead, because they don't need to.
Well, I think it's moved into, like, white-collar shit.
You mean like
Like the jewelry district.
Well,
you see that movie Uncut Gems?
I did.
I think that's what the Jewish mob is up to these days.
Fucking hate dude. If you've ever gotten married and divorced, like, and you get the ring back, which is like one of the few things that I asked for.
I've never gotten married.
No, I know. I'm talking to our Susans out there.
Hey, Susans, have you ever been married?
If you've ever, anybody who's gotten divorced, right? Like, let's just say you spend $10,000 on a ring, which I did. And then, yeah, no, it sucks dicks. But I was making money at the time, so whatever. And my dad
halfway out of credit card debt.
Right. And my dad had passed away, so I had gotten some life insurance money. So, but you spend like $10,000, $12,000 on a ring, and then when you get divorced, if you're lucky enough to get it back, because you, by the way, little known thing, never propose to a girl on a holiday, because then it could be perceived as a gift.
What?
Yeah, 100%. It can be a gift.
Well, it is a gift. It's a gift. It's your engagement ring.
But it's not really. Yeah, but it's not really a gift. It's a sign of like, it's a betrothment type of thing. So,
and that's what they argue to get it back.
They're saying it was like a Christmas gift or a Valentine's Day gift or like a birthday gift or I don't know, a fucking 4th of July.
Well, that's why you can't get it.
That's
back.
why you don't. Right. So I didn't do that.
If you fucking, you're saying you can get it back. Because, like, your marriage is dissolving, this ring was given to you with the understanding of marriage, therefore it's rescinded.
Right.
Okay.
So give me the ring back.
But it doesn't work if it's a holiday because they can argue.
They can argue that it was like just a gift.
That's such a bullshit argument. What court would hear that?
Dude, chicks make out in any sort of child or fucking divorce situation. It's just.
Thank God you didn't have children, huh?
Thank fucking God she never pulled the goalie. Yeah.
Well, your whole life would be different. You'd probably still be with her.
We probably would have tried a little harder when I got back from rehab, that's for certain, yeah.
Jesus.
But that said, I got the ring back, and now if I want to sell that $12,000 ring back, to just, recoup some money, like I'm maybe gonna get $4 or $5 grand back. Maybe. You get so...
Why is that?
Just because the people that buy... I don't understand it, to be honest with you. As a market guy, I don't fucking get it. Like, I get, like, the wholesalers pay less for whatever, but basically it is jewelry stores...
So they sold it to you at 10... So, what I'm asking is it because you bought it at a is it still... valuable in its sticks and bricks? Like, is it still valuable as far as the jewels and stuff? Or was it sold to you as a piece and that's why it's lost its value?
Well, diamonds aren't like gold where they're like traded on the open market where there's like an established price for gold and silver and platinum and all that shit. So the diamond industry, as far as this is how I understand it, like jewelry stores don't like holding on to a lot of diamonds because it makes them a fucking target, right? So basically, they buy and sell what they need for diamonds from wholesalers, and the wholesalers will only pay a certain amount of money to buy back the diamonds, and they have such a fucking stranglehold on the market.
How many carats do you think this is?
0 diamonds. It's probably a lot of. It's probably
beautiful cubic zirconia.
Yeah, it's probably a 3-carat cubic zirconia.
It's fucking plastic, dude. If you look at it sideways, it just looks like
it's fucking cloudy as shit. But so it's just really fucking annoying, Like I mean, I have.
So you spent $10,000 on it.
Maybe get 4 back.
Well, they do need to make a profit when they sell it.
125% profit.
It would be more than
150%.
If they bought it for 4 and sold it for
10, that's a huge fucking profit. That's
like over 200%, or so, I think.
Yeah,
Do I not understand our percent?
Well, yeah, no, it is. It's over 200%. It's 250%. 250% markup on diamonds. It's fucking absurd.
Do you think that they could make 10 grand on it again, though?
Oh yeah, all day, probably more.
Even though it's been previously owned, and
doesn't matter once you take the diamond out of the thing. Nobody fucking knows.
And you think that's what they would? So all the value is in the diamond. It's not the piece. I think that's what I was trying to say earlier.
Oh well, the platinum piece, because it's not platinum. So yeah, I'd make the platinum price back on it.
A nice.
It's
piece,
a nice.
Is it?
Oh no, it's a. I mean.
You're saying they would take it apart. Like, would it be worth more just as the diamond, or would it be worth more as the ring?
Like if I fucking chopped it?
or what? Just in general.
No, I think I think that gets factored into the.
I'm talking like I know shit about time. I know nothing.
Yeah, well, neither of us are Jewish.
Hey, that's racist.
By the way, like, can we just this is probably gonna be a little touchy, but why is being Jewish a race and not just a religion? Is it because of the inbreeding?
Partly is the honest answer.
No, well, speaking of
they
that.
are, well, there's also, like, the Anasazi or whatever, and Sephardic. Ashkenazi and Sephardic.
But that's just where they're...
And some of them are more Middle Eastern-y than others.
They
are a people. They're an ethnic group more than a race. They're an ethnic group.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I guess I'm being ethnicist.
Like, Irish are different than Poles.
Right.
Jews are...
But we're all still white. It's still the same race.
Yeah, so they are what you consider white or Semitic. There's Semitic people.
Right.
So it depends on if you think that Middle Easterners are white, basically.
Well, that's what I think. Middle Eastern is just Middle Eastern. That's you're racist against Arabs.
It depends on how you want to break it down.
Yeah, that's... No, I know.
Hypothetically, there are only 3 actual races.
I would say 4.
Which would be black, Asian, and white.
I would say Middle Eastern is its own.
Well, but then you get into Middle Eastern. Well, but what about Latin people? What about Native American people?
Oh, yeah, forgot about that.
And then you have to start going, Native American people are technically Asian. And, you know,
then we're all technically African.
Exactly. If you break it down far enough, it's like, what the...
It's just more the current state.
It kind of doesn't fucking matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all. I'm just saying, what I'm getting at here is that...
all of this breaking down races and all that shit is really an echo of... And I don't want to sound like fucking... You know, it's colonialism, man. But it kind of is. Like, the whole idea of different people in general is...
What I'm getting at...
Not entirely from colonialism, but our modern perception of it is like an echo of colonialism.
My greater point at this was that saying something is racist is like it's a catch-all now for anything that touches on race.
Explain further.
Okay. Like saying... Like, I used to do a thing... Like, saying, like, black people don't ski. That's not racist.
Is this recording?
Yeah. We're at 27 minutes.
Where do you see that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like,
sorry, podcast Bill.
No, you're good. But saying, like, for instance, like, hey, black people don't ski. People are like, oh, that's racist. How is that racist? Like, shouldn't the definition of racism essentially be if you're demonstrating that, like, or you think that one race is better than another?
Racism is a funny word because it's... Yeah, I think that we should make a distinction between, like... I think that we should change the word, almost, what we use as racism, to race hatred. And that would make it a lot clearer. Because if you're saying something as, like, to be hateful and fucking put down another race, and which is what the term racism
means.
Yeah, and to say that, you're not putting black people down.
No, you're not. You're just stating a generalization.
You're certainly not trying to, I don't think.
You're stating a generalization that is probably the result, it almost definitely is the result of, socioeconomic things. Like, because skiing's fucking expensive. You know what I mean? Like, it's not cheap, and it's not really... I fucking hate it, personally, so...
Well, people could argue that you saying black people don't ski is a classist thing, but I think it's a generalization. I think it's a cultural thing. I just don't think that skiing is big in black culture for whatever reason.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, people who ski aren't somehow better than anyone else because
They think they
ski.
are, though.
Yeah, you have your whole fucking thing of skiers. I don't know that many skiers.
Well, I said,
I guess that makes me D class A.
No, I hate skiing. Like, I used to get dragged on those ski trips, like, with my ex-wife and, like, our corporate friends, you know? Like, let's all just hang out at the fucking ski slope and drink IPAs.
How happy are you to...
Not be in that world?
Yes.
Fucking ecstatic.
Well, if I were you, I feel like I would feel like comedy was almost giving me, like, a second life.
Oh, it definitely is, man. It's the life that I should have been living fucking 15 years ago. But I didn't have the balls to do it.
Do you think about that? Do you wish that...
Oh, God, yeah.
Do you feel like you lost that time?
100%. Like, but at the same point, I wouldn't have the life experience to fucking talk about on stage had I not done what I did. What I kick myself for is not doing open mics while I was in that world, at least a little bit. You know, being more the, just being more the, what Will would call a hobbyist, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I kick myself for, because I was always a fish out of water. Like, I was kind of good at my job. Like, we could bring on my buddy Jeff, who was my manager, and he'd probably refute that. But, like, at one point,
You always seem so distracted.
Dude, at one point, I could type out all the countries of the world in alphabetical order in under 4 minutes. That's what I used to do that's what I used to do at work. Thank you. Useless. I am the king of useless skills. But that said, I can have a geographical conversation with a lot of people. But no,
how many people would consider being able to do comedy a useless skill? Or
too many fucking
trying
people
to learn right now, podcasting.
Yeah,
to be a useless skill. Meanwhile, I feel like podcasting might be a better way, a quicker way to. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to say that because I'm going to jinx it.
No.
I'm going to say podcasting seems to be like the wave of the future, and YouTube and all that shit.
Yeah,
we should make YouTube videos. We should become YouTube stars. Fuck this comedy thing.
Influencers? You want to become an influencer?
I want to be an influencer.
Yes. Oh God, I sit there and I'll watch TikTok videos, like not on TikTok but on YouTube because I'm old, and it's just people making fucking funny faces, and like doing these ridiculous fucking trendy challenge dances. It's fucking, I don't know. Whatever. We don't have to go down that road. Dude, whose pants were those when you bought them? Just so you know, like, Dillon's got his jeans rolled up.
They're only rolled up this much because
you wear your pants.
I was putting that cream on my feet, and I didn't want it to get on my pants. Usually I actually wear them unrolled. Okay,
but still, they're rolled up about 6 inches, and the cuff still goes down to his ankle. So
I'm short, okay?
So apparently Dillon doesn't yet know how long his legs are.
Well, when you find a pair of jeans that fit okay, or fit nice, you have to go for it, and sometimes I'll hem them. I actually just got a little, like, handheld sewing machine yesterday with the tiny camera that I'm dying to try to use. Looks like a fucking stapler, kind of. So that I can start hemming my own shit. And I'll also bring jeans to the tailor to get them tailored. So I would bring a pair of jeans like this that I feel like I really like the fit of, and then another pair of jeans that I like but I don't like the fit as much, and say, can you try to get these jeans to be more the fit of these jeans, you know?
I do. All right, so
tailor your jeans, people. It makes a big difference, and it's not that expensive.
It's true. Tailoring is key. Tailoring is key.
Your jeans game will go up fucking 110% if you fucking just go get a little tailoring done.
Just go to find a Geppetto out there, and because it's
a lot of laundromat. If you go to like a nice laundromat,
they'll have a tailor.
They'll have people there that will do it.
That said, so like
I might actually go bring a couple of pairs later to get tailored.
When did you realize? Like, let's go back to like the genesis of us getting into comedy.
I might get these hems too.
I think that might be a good idea. When did you realize like that stand up was something you wanted to do? Like, when did you know? Like, I think I'm funnier than most people, or like I think.
Well, those are two different questions.
Or I think, well, they're sort of connected. Like, when did you realize you think your
when
thought
did I know I was different?
Different in a way that lend itself to stand up.
Well, okay, here's, I don't know if this is exactly, but here's when I knew for sure that I was like I was a performer, okay. And that was something I could do. At community school in Cumberland, you know community school probably.
I actually am not.
It's an elementary school.
Okay.
Fucking, it's like the nicest elementary school.
Bougie, if you will.
They call it the academy at the other places, supposedly. But it happened to be the one that I went to.
Okay.
It's like North Cumberland's elementary school. They did a 4th grade play every year. So my year was Alice in Wonderland.
Perfect.
And I played the White Rabbit.
Of course you did.
I probably mostly played the White Rabbit because I was like a year younger than everybody, sort of.
I mean, you're still little.
I was small anyway, and I was also like a year younger than everybody.
Right.
So not because I skipped a grade, but because they changed
when your birthday is, basically.
Like that will
I was younger as well.
I think most people will understand.
Yeah.
There's like a cutoff, and
I was a July baby, so I was younger than most.
You could go into one, and they changed it like literally the year after. Anyway,
so you're the White
Rabbit.
I
was probably only the White Rabbit because I was the one who fit the costume.
Sure,
but the White Rabbit had the most lines of like any dude in the play.
By the way,
I probably had the most lines after Alice.
Yeah.
Fucking, and I was able to like memorize them. I remember I added a couple of things.
You ad-libbed?
I asked the drama teacher, like, is it okay or whatever if I do this?
Okay.
And I made a couple of changes and shit, and I did it, and I was good. Right. You know, I was solid, and in fact, like, I remember my friend saying to me, like, fucking don't tell anyone I said this, but you were the only one that was good. Fucking, like, I knew that I did well. I knew that I, like, stood out among most of these kids were kind of just mumbling their lines or whatever, and I was really performing. I was always good at, like, letting myself go and doing that stuff. I have crippling anxiety, but not on stage. That's where I almost feel like,
which is
the most free.
Which is interesting because it's usually
I've got my wires are crossed, dude. You know?
Yeah, you've been typecast as the White Rabbit ever since.
So it's so funny looking back. I was the White Rabbit.
You're still the White Rabbit.
So
everyone's following you down the rabbit hole.
I did that. I was in a bunch of plays in high school. I was Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet. I was Demetrius in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Ended up dating the chick, like my
Well,
co-star,
that happens. It's natural.
which was the beginning of a,
Shitty relationship. Oh
no. That was an okay relationship, but it was the beginning of a pattern in my life.
Right.
That was that wasn't even the first
Co-star.
No, and this is related to in a way that you'll know, but I have a history of like showing up in a social circle and hooking up with like the girl that everybody wants to hook up with and has been like putting time in with.
Okay.
And I'm not saying this to like big myself up. It's just
it's a little bit of a humble brag, but I'll let you get away with it.
That's not why I'm saying
No,
it,
I'm going to let you get away with it.
It's been the one.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking today. And yeah, I always fucked myself over in that way.
Because things get messy.
Where I would hook up with this chick that everybody wanted to fucking fuck. And I don't know. It started, there was a chick in 8th grade. Then there was this chick who, like, my co-star in that play.
Yeah. Like,
all of the older dudes at school, we were both freshmen. And, like, all of these older dudes were, like, trying to fuck this chick hard. And I ended up...
You're the new blood that comes in, and then, you're charismatic.
I have a history of that.
I get it.
But that's not even... Yeah, so I did plays all through that. I was also in improv classes.
You didn't...
Which I love. The first class and the last class I ever did at School 1 were improv classes.
Okay, yeah.
Is that going to sound... I'm going to sound like such a dickhead, being like, yeah, I came in and I fucked the prettiest girl. That's really not what I mean. It's a bad thing. It's been a bad habit of mine to, like, not understand that this chick is, like, the group's
dead mother.
Yeah, and
and then you alienate yourself from all the dudes.
Exactly.
And then it just becomes like a clusterfuck, and then you end up shooting yourself in the foot.
I have a tendency to shoot myself in the foot with my dick. I'm not saying it to be cool.
Yeah, no, I get that. I never really been a thing for me, but I've been but either way. So you did improv. I also did improv for a very short period of time, right?
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
I did. I never told you that?
I don't think so.
So, like, through my best friend growing up.
Hey, did I ask you to answer the same question that you asked me?
You did not. But it's all right.
Well, answer the same question that you asked me.
When did I realize? Yeah. I mean, well, this is the thing, like...
Well, I could get into another part about when I actually learned that I wanted to be a comic and stuff. No. But you do your beginnings, and then we'll switch.
Yeah. No, like... So, I think it really started for me, like...
I love you, podcast audience. You guys are so fucking sexy.
You're so beautiful. Should we call them the Lazies or the Susans?
I was thinking about that. Like, is our audience, are they the Lazy Susans?
Metaphorically speaking? Hopefully. But...
Yeah, hopefully we can fuck our audience as much as possible.
Or they're just there for us when we need them, you know?
There you go. Yeah, right. They are. Yeah. They're the Lazy Susans.
They're pick-me-ups, you know?
Fuck yeah.
They're the ones that
for the record, I have been a male Lazy Susan.
I think every guy would love to be a Lazy Susan.
So... Right?
Like, isn't that like... We would love to be the one that's just there. If a girl strikes out trying to get with somebody who she actually wants to be with, and then she's like, fuck it, I'll call Dillon. Like, at the end of the night, you'd be like, I
think that has happened, though.
I'm sure it has happened. But, so, that said, So I moved halfway through 7th grade from like a kind of a rural town to Lincoln, which is right next to where Dillon grew up. So like, and both our towns are kind of weird, right? Like the what do you call it? The dynamics of the town. So like South Cumberland, for instance, like borders Central Falls and Pawtucket, two of the shittiest towns in the state. Okay, like from like a financial point of view, you know.
And God knows it leaks over.
Right, and in Lincoln, we border the same towns plus one socket. So actually, so does Cumberland. So yeah, like the centers of our towns, or at least of Lincoln, very affluent. The farther you go out from that center, gets a little dicier. So we had a lot of different types of kids at the school, and I moved from like a very rural school. So think like I moved from like Alabama to New York City, you know, like to kind of like not nearly on that level, but I moved. I had no friends.
But as a little kid, that must be what it felt like.
Well, yeah. I mean, 7th grade is where everybody from all the elementary schools and middle schools come together, right? Or for the first time. So everybody's kind of clicking up.
For us, it was 6th grade, but
for us, it was 7th. So, but I moved halfway through that year, and I didn't fucking really know anybody, you know. So, like, I was like, how do I connect with people? I'm gonna try to be the funny guy. Now, it kind of came off as being a dick. Apparently, freshman year, guys had put out a hottest girls in each class list that circulated, and the girls got pissed off.
So wait, sorry, just to
no, redirect.
In your school system, everybody got together in 7th grade, and then did you guys all stay together from then?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Cumberland, it's 3 elementary schools go to 2 middle schools, and then the 2 middle in 6th grade.
Right. You got
and then the 2 middle schools meet at the high school in 9th grade.
And you guys had a freshman wing as well, too, did you not?
Yes, we had a freshman building.
Right. Yeah, we didn't have any of that.
But you would still go do classes in other parts of the high. You were sort of segregated, but we mixed a lot.
Right.
But you guys all got together in 7th grade, and then you were together from then on.
From then on, yeah.
Okay.
So, like...
Where's my monster?
Right here. Got you a big boy.
Thanks, sugar.
For my big boy.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah. Love you, too. But, yeah, no. So, like, I tried to... Like, I didn't know how to connect with people. Like, and I was in all the honors classes, but I never really, felt like a dork, even though I am. But I never wanted to be that guy. So, I was like, all right, how do I make people fucking laugh? I just want to connect with people. And I felt like, my dad was was a good storyteller. And it kind of came from there, but I kind of failed at it, pretty badly. People just thought I was a prick. Because I just go for the lowest hanging fruit, I kind of treated every comedy thing like it was a roast. Yeah, so it didn't really come off too well. And, I don't know, man, and then after college, when I was in college, we'll skip ahead to a few things. I mean, a lot of that also played a part in how I ended up using drugs, because, I wanted to, I was like, oh, here's another way. I'll just do whatever drugs on the table, I never quit anything. I just picked up something. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, he parties,
It's not unheard of.
No, it's not. And then in college, it's tough to see the forest for the trees because everyone's a fucking alcoholic, But by the time you get out, it becomes a little different. So either way, I started doing when I moved back from Amherst. My best friend was doing his senior year at Providence College, and he was a theater kid, and he was in an improv group. So I started hanging out with them, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be in the improv group?" And I was in. Then I joined the group, right? But then when I moved in with my buddy when he graduated, he ended up driving into a tree and died. He was also my writing partner, and he was doing stand-up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, it's good. But I am not great at processing with emotions. I just pretend they never happen. So by the way, you know how shitty it is to ask a grieving father for rent money? like, hey, buddy, there's no death clause in the lease, and I can't afford to pay the entire, so.
Jesus.
Yeah. Brutal. So I immediately decided to start dating who would become my future ex-wife, and I moved up to Boston. Got into heroin, stopped doing comedy, yada, yada, yada.
So it wasn't even so much the fucking job in the financial sector that stopped you from doing comedy. It was the
death
heroin.
And the death of my buddy.
Oh, and the death of your... Oh, yeah, because imagine you guys could... But, dude, you know, it sounds cliched, but, like, to some extent, it is true, like, everything fucking happens for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that I could have still done stand-up.
I mean, existentially, I don't believe that,
right.
But you kind of have to deal with life as though that were true. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. So...
You can't go, well, it could have been. Because you could have been some fucking huge name by now with that guy.
Maybe.
But that's just not the way the universe decided it was going to go.
The universe decided I needed some more life experience.
Fuck you guys. This is very unprofessional. I don't know who it is, but
So
this podcast.
So
sorry, audience, I've let you down.
The universe decided I needed more life experience, you know, and but it all. But here's the.
You might have fucking. Go ahead.
No. If it wasn't for heroin and getting addicted, and like I would have never. When I moved, so I went out to California. I got sober. I came back. I got divorced, and I started going to AA. And when I was at AA, I ran into a comedian that directed me to an open mic, because I'd been talking about wanting to do an open mic, and it was Sparky. So, yeah, I ran into Sparky. I mean, you would never know this guy was a comic, like, just by looking at him. But, like, my sponsor...
You'd probably know that he was a fetish dude.
Yes, that I did know. That's an obvious one. It was funny, like,
Shout out Sparky.
Shout out Sparky. No, but seriously, like,
I don't care
if it wasn't,
everyone hates you. I'm fine.
I don't think everybody hates you.
A lot of people talk shit about Sparky.
A lot of people talk shit about everybody.
Okay.
So what was I gonna say?
I'm not talking shit. I like Sparky personally.
No, but so do I. But like, if it wasn't for AA, I wouldn't have done I wouldn't have started to try to get over my public speaking, phobia, and I wouldn't have met Sparky. So God knows if so everything kind of directed me this way, you know? And then it just, you know, and then you and I bonded over our common use of heroin as well. So, it's just one of those things where, yeah, would it have been great to do this 15 years ago, especially before fucking COVID? And learn what comedy was about back then, and hopefully be, you know, a better comic than I am now.
You also would have come up in, sort of the shittiest era for comedy, from what I've heard, though. The early 2000s were supposedly pretty fucking brutal.
Right.
It was so saturated.
Yeah. No, I mean, but I still would have been able to get up more than
once or
twice a week.
Well, you might have had a fucking Comedy Central half hour, but you would have peaked in 2004, and I never would have known you.
Yeah.
I probably would have gotten into heroin after that,
right? And then,
because the issues that made you start doing heroin were still there.
Yeah.
You'd be fucking overdosed by 2009.
Oh, I would have been dead. I would have been dead if I got into... that's what I'm saying. I can't really say... Luckily, I don't look 37, so hopefully that will help me as far as, trying to pull a Rodney Dangerfield and, make it as a comic after 35. You know? Because, how many comics have really made it after that age?
A bunch.
That's just start at that age?
I mean... I don't know. Jerry Seinfeld said this. I was listening to someone talk earlier, and they mentioned a quote by Seinfeld that was, he said to the guy, how long have you been doing stand-up?
Yeah.
And the guy said, 9 years. He said, okay, then in comedy, you are 9 years old.
Yeah. I know that. I'm a fucking infant. I'm shitting myself right now.
No, but just like anybody, you separate yourself in comedy from the fact that you're 37.
Oh, I do.
In comedy, you're one. And all you have to do is keep putting those comedy years together.
Yeah.
And growing that way. It doesn't matter what age you are, man.
No, well, but...
That's just something that can fucking... Dude, I'm 10 years younger than you. And I fucking often think about all the things I'm, like, too old for.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
No, I get that. It's funny because, like...
It's not useful.
No, it's not. It's not. To be honest with you, I don't think about it unless we're talking about it, like trying to break down, the situation. It does set me apart, though, a little bit, which is fine. I don't have. It's a thing that I can talk about that guys that are in there, like I can talk about being divorced, like I can talk about like having more life. I have more material.
Dude, and I will say it sets you apart a little now, but I feel like when I started, I was really young then. I was like 21, 22.
Yeah, let's talk
23.
about that. When did you decide you were going to start doing stand-up?
I felt like everybody was like in their 30s. The crew that I sort of came up with or whatever, like all the comedians around me were much older than me. So I felt like I was a kid, a baby in stand-up years and a kid. Like...
So, well, to that point, there's two questions I want to ask you. One, who's still around from when you first started? Who's still...
From when I first started,
who's still
Trevor Dillon, Dennis was around, Nicole was around. If not when I first started,
Alan.
Shortly. Alan. I've seen James Creelman.
Was Brad around when you first started?
Brad Pierce.
Yeah.
Fucking some of my first sets were with him at the Parlor.
Yeah.
We would be the only comics there. Which I feel like an odd kinship with Brad because of that.
Yeah.
I used to let him go first because he had to go do his karaoke job.
I was going to say, because he does karaoke, that's got to make sense on why he would probably maybe be a little bit more comfortable doing it at like a music mic.
I think he was just trying to get the time in.
Yeah.
Which I
you got to respect. Yeah, you got to respect.
Fucking shout out Brad Pierce, dude.
Yeah.
If you're listening, fucking, I really do, like, I feel like a sort of a kinship with him because we were it was us and this other dude who would do, like, a combination of, like, rapping and comedy and just yelling. And he was the dude who eventually got the comedy stopped there.
Yeah, there's nothing...
Like, but they put a thing up and they actually said in it, like, Brad and Dillon, this isn't because of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what killed. Like, there's certain people that are kind of grandfathered into doing those just awful fucking acts. Like, I'm not gonna name names or anything, but like every time I get bumped at Pub on Park for that one dude, what's in the box? Like, there's a guy who brings a bag on stage. He's like, "You guys want to know what's in the box? You want to know what's in the box?"
Not clam.
No. He's fine. He squirted me with his clam juice this week, but
he's something.
He's something. Didn't you? Yeah, I know what you yelled. But no, the one guy he's on break, so like they just shove him into the fucking lineup.
Some fucking guy. He's in a.
He's like, you see this Rubik's Cube? Who's ever solved this Rubik's Cube? It's a fucking...
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He looks like fucking like Rick Moranis if he gained 30 pounds.
60
sort
pounds.
of. He was fucking... Yeah. He looks like a dad.
See, the thing is he's really nice to me, so I feel bad saying this, but it's really... Like, he's like, "Hey, man, you're really funny." I'm like, "I appreciate..." It's always nice when people tell me.
Been there. Yeah.
It's like, but this gets back to
doesn't part of you go like, if you think I'm really funny, I might be doing something wrong.
Right. No, that's exactly, no, we were just discussing that. Like, if somebody who has, like, a real questionable fucking, like, obviously not a great sense of humor tells you that you're funny, it's, God, it's all, I don't know. You don't know how to take it. You're like, I mean, it's great for the ego, kind of, but then when you really sit back and think about it, and you're like, fuck, if that resonates with him, does that mean that, like, the lowest common denominator of fucking funny is going to find this funny? And then, yeah, it's. I mean, I have had a few. It is nice when people. You were there when the guy with the headphones at pub, like, walked up to me and told me my abortion joke was, like, the best joke he'd heard in months. Like, that was dope. Like, he actually used to be a roadie for Widespread Panic.
Word.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best compliments you get are not from comics.
They're almost always not from fucking comics.
And good advice sometimes, too.
The people I bounce my jokes off of are not comics.
The best piece of advice I ever got was from my friend Destiny, who has never done comedy in her life. But she saw me perform one night, and she said, "You're funny when you don't seem like you're trying to be funny."
Oh, that's, yeah, I've been told that 1,000 times.
And I was like, I totally get what you're saying,
It's natural.
and that's such great advice.
That's why I don't fully write my jokes out a lot of the times. Is because I want it to sound at least like I'm trying to, like, just come up with it on stage. So that it comes off a little bit more naturally and it's not my, like, because my friends be like, "Oh, that's your fucking joke voice." You know? And that's not, and it sounds like you're trying to be funny.
Well, to some extent, the audience expects us to do, like, kayfabe. Like, how kayfabe, and I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's like the wrestlers maintaining that it's real at all times.
Okay.
And it's
like being a method actor?
It's like sort of an old school idea. I don't think they don't really do it these days. We might have to take a break. I have hiccups.
I say we just power through the hiccups.
I'm gonna try to make them go. But yeah, there's a light kayfabe between us and the audience, where on some level they want to feel like what we're doing is somewhat spontaneous.
Right.
And also, it's remarkable the number of dumb
civilians?
There are people who honestly think that comedians, like, come up with what they're doing as a set, like, come up with it on the spot. There are a lot of people who think that, more than you would think.
I mean, that makes sense with
that is craziness.
Well, it's even with crowd work comics, right? Like, they still have things that they're trying to get the audience to get them to, right? You know, like, it's not, a lot of it is just, like, off the top of their head.
Well, crowd work is a whole skill unto itself.
Right.
It is sort of improv.
It is.
Yeah, it is improv.
It's improv.
But I feel like a lot of doing crowd work is almost like settling into a groove where you feel comfortable. And a lot of it's not like you're not going to reuse certain things on people. You know what I mean? People who do crowd work, I think, big shout out Big J Okerson, best crowd work ever, I think. What is it exactly? Like, fucking, how much of your crowd work is reused and how much of it is, you know what I mean?
Well, when those, especially the New York guys like Jay or Andrew Schultz.
I really am fucking, dude.
I'll take over for a second. A lot of the crowd work guys like Jay or Andrew Schultz, right?
I just want to. I feel bad because I feel like I'm not going to be able to be easily understood.
Oh no, it's fine. We'll just pretend you have a stutter. Um, but no, those guys like because they're getting up 5 nights a week and they're doing a lot of crowd work, like they're invariably going to end up being like, "Hey, what do you do for work?" and running into the same types of occupations, or like just making the same sort of like racial comments on whoever's sitting in the front, or like, "Oh, you came here with your boyfriend or girlfriend," you know what I mean? And there's those types of guys that do that, and then there's other guys. I mean, still a lot of those guys are still trying to do that crowd work where the answers that they're getting from whoever that they're talking to is leading them into a joke that they want to do, right? I feel like that's like the higher end of crowd work, right? Like that's like the next, like the second level of getting there. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Again, only been doing this 8 months, but
that's right, you fucking slag boy.
it's true. Although I was a corporate comedian, which invariably was a reason why I'm not doing that job anymore. I told you the story. My last 2 jobs that I had when I got back from California, one I was a bank teller, right? Worked with all girls and one gay guy, right? And at one point, one of the girls had called out, so they backfilled her spot with a guy from another office. He comes over and it's dead, and he just leans back and goes, "Hey man, guys, I think I'm gonna watch. I think I'm gonna have a glass of red wine and listen to and watch The Bachelor tonight," which immediately piqued my interest. So like I turned around and said, "Hey," I said this to the gay guy that I work with. I was like, do you find that when straight guys are doing stereotypically gay shit that they feel the need to tell you?" And yeah, I went to HR the next day. They read back that transcript, which wasn't great. And then, so I kind of got forced out of that job. Then I worked for an insurance company, and I wasn't really doing a very good job because it fucking sucked. And we're sitting in a conference room with 25 people. My boss at the head of the table, and we had a client meeting the day before, and she's just doing a recap on it. And she's just like, "Guys, I really loved watching. I just loved watching you guys interact. It was just great to just sit there and just watch." So I wrote in my notebook, Kerry is a voyeur, right? That's because I'm keeping a joke notebook basically at work. And the older Portuguese lady that was sitting next to me thought she'd missed a note, and she yells out, not yells out, but says it loudly, kind of like in a Dillon Walsh voice. Goes, "Glenn, what's a voyeur?" Which put me on the radar of my manager, and I was fired a couple days later, basically. And now I'm doing stand-up, and then so that's just 2 stories. Dillon, how those hiccups coming?
They're better.
That's nice.
So to get back to the later editions of what made us want to be stand-ups. Do you want to go first? Or
No, you do it. You do it.
Okay, so fast forward, I was White Rabbit. I fucked this chick, and then I'm in college now.
Has the heroin use started yet?
No, not at this point. Okay. But I started drinking heavily. I've been smoking mad weed. I did Molly. I did acid right before leaving. I did Molly like the day before leaving for college.
But the drugs that really like run your life hadn't, because really heroin's the only.
I haven't gotten into dope yet.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was drinking a little. My drinking increased a lot while I was at college.
Well, yeah.
And that was when I really got into Xanax too.
Xanax is a tough one.
Yeah. But just for stand up, I got up to college. I got super into the Opie and Anthony show. which at this point, it was right around the time that Patrice O'Neal died.
Right.
I remember I literally started listening to it like a month before he died or some shit. I remember Elephant in the Room coming out, him going into the coma, him fucking dying, all that shit.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, actually, his, like, the memorial episode, it's like 6 hours of fucking just all these comics talking about Patrice. Mm-hmm. That was something that interested me in comedy a lot. And I got super into Opie and Anthony, super into the Joe Rogan Experience. That was actually a little later.
Yeah. Because
I actually got into the Joe Rogan Experience when Anthony Cumia got fired.
Right.
But, like, the first episode I listened to was Anthony, because I was dying to listen to fucking Anthony. I was so into that, and I started listening to these comics talking, you know, and I wanted to be a photographer at that point, which I still would like to do stuff with photography, as you know.
Yes, I do. Anybody who's been to an open mic in Rhode Island.
But I wanted to be a war photographer. I wanted to, like, go overseas and fucking shoot. But I was in this fucked up relationship with a chick that used to, like, beat the shit out of me and fucking scream at me and she was a fucking nightmare. Sometimes. I mean, she was going through a lot herself, I think.
I would imagine. But, that said.
And there was, you know, there's drinking and all that shit.
But you're in Boston, you're listening to the podcast.
While I was up there, I started listening to these comedians and them describing, like, their lives, and I mean, that's why I say, like, the Patrice O'Neal thing, that was big for me, because I was, like, listening to it, and I was like, this is exactly how I would love to be remembered, like, all of this fucking, I know that sounds morbid for getting me into comedy, but it was the lifestyle and all that shit. And I was like, I'm kind of living that way already. And I don't know. I love performing. And I sort of had this realization, like, oh, I think I might be a comedian. You know what I mean? Another thing, when I was at school, at the beginning of the year, they had what they called core class, which was just like a general arts, whatever. And when we were talking about, what do you want to call it? Like, I don't know why I'm blanking on the word. Art where people act stuff out, basically.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm blanking on the word.
So like the robots in France, like the guys.
No, just anything where people basically stand up is part of it.
Okay. Slam
and I was fucking bullshitting it. I was like, oh, that can just be anything. Like, a lot of people just fucking go, you know, like they had this speaker who her whole thing was like she held a bunch of pounds of ice cream and next to a roller coaster, and every time the people in the roller coaster screamed, she would scream too. Well, this ice cream melted. I was like, oh great, that's fucking just brilliant. But by the end of the year, I was doing that type of art.
Okay.
And that led directly
that was your bridge to stand up.
So then fucking I shack up with this chick. We sort of have a fucked up thing. I get fucked up in other ways. I was selling drugs this was like an early thing, you know, I was selling like ecstasy and shit.
Sure.
I went through like a clubbing phase, and like I was just this little, you know, kind of punky 20-year-old, you know, 19, 20 or whatever. But I always knew that, like, I always kept listening to Opie and Anthony and being into that shit. and I got it in my head that I wanted to be a stand-up. So I did my first stand-up performance on November 15th, 2014.
In Providence
2
or
months
Boston?
after I turned 21. We actually went to Connecticut.
You went to Connecticut to do it.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
And I did it at, like, just this totally random, like, guitar, like, the person before me was doing, like, Bob Dylan covers. It was such, like, a fucking fucked up environment for what I was doing.
Do you remember the jokes that you did?
I hadn't been going to bars that long, so I, like, brought my own drink in, and they got pissed at me.
You still do that.
The jokes were fucking ridiculous.
Do you remember what you did?
The only thing I remember is I had, like, talked all of these jokes into my computer, and I was like, oh yeah, it's 5 minutes right there. And then when I went up there and tried to do it, it all went by in like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And then I had this bit reserved for if I started to bomb, and I immediately went to that, like, without trying to, like, right the ship or anything at all.
Yeah.
And fucking, I had no control over, like, the loudness of my voice.
You still
I
don't.
remember that.
You still don't.
This was worse.
Okay.
I went on and I was just immediately screaming and not trying to, but I was so amped up with adrenaline. I was just screaming, and I went to this bit about, which I will actually still whip out from time to time.
Nice.
But I do it a little subtler now. But it's basically like, how many people in here have ever bled from their ass? And a couple of jokesters will put their hands up. And I go, statistically, it's more than that. So some of you are fucking liars. And I just go from there. But I'm screaming that shit. And then...
How many of you bled from your ass?
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
And I fucking get off stage. They push me off stage. And me and my friends
You got the Apollo hook?
It's all a blur. But my
Yeah.
brother's driving me home. And he goes, so Dillon, like, probably not going to do that again, right? And I was just so, like, I was smiling. I remember this one group of, like, metalheads were in the back, and they were like, that takes a lot of balls to do that, dude. Like, they were kind of into it.
Yeah. Well, you've been playing to that crowd ever since.
I fucking just looked at my brother, and I go, I fucking love that.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it ever since. So that was the beginning of me doing and then you're right. I played at mostly rock shows for like the first year.
Yeah.
Which some people say is a waste. I actually think it taught me some valuable skills.
No, one of the worst
aspects. And I still like to play to rock crowds. So, Matt Cap, I hope you come back. Shout out Nate Cozzolino. Shout out News Cafe. Definitely, bands book me to be your MC.
One of the worst aspects of fucking doing open mics, especially right now, because of the we still have some restrictions or whatever, is that the audience is basically all comics. And we're the toughest motherfuckers to make laugh in the world. You know? Like, so I think, like, doing it in front of musicians, even if the environment wasn't really set for stand-up comedy.
I mean, you be honest, as a comedian, how many times when someone that you didn't like was up there, even when they have something that might be funny coming from someone else, you're just kind of like, already like, whatever.
Yeah. No.
Like, you're fucking set up in your mind to not like them.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Which is one of the reasons why I'm not, like, in a rush to do shows and shit yet, because, like, if I do a set that fucking bombs, like, that's the impression that pretty much everybody's gonna carry with them forever. You know? It takes a lot to, like, change that impression. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain comics that when you go
I do know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fucking, I've been trying to change impressions for years.
Yeah, well,
Just keep rolling that fucking boulder up a hill, dude.
Yeah.
Just to watch it come tumbling down.
Which is, okay, so now that brings us to, so, like, so, if...
Just for the record, I'm not that fucking shitty and bitter, I promise.
80 right now.
Okay, so we're almost done.
Yeah, we are.
You can talk about your fucking... You getting into comedy.
We did that, yeah.
Later shit.
Yeah, well...
Wrap it up, and we're just about ready to go. We can start another app after that.
Well, your mom's coming over soon.
Well, I haven't heard from her yet. I would say, even if we have... I would rather... If we have 80, I would rather do another 5 or 10 and stop that one, and then start another one. And even if we end up with another one that's 40, we have another one to put out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially in the early stages of this, it's so much of it is just about being there with content.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was, I don't know how many people really know the genesis of Dillon getting into stand-up, so I thought that would be like a super interesting fucking thing to talk about, you know? Because like you do have your own style up there, right? Like you're definitely somebody who leans into the yeah, we're going into the darker side of shit. And
yeah, I love Black Hawk, like dark meat only. You know?
I see. Yeah, it's not surprising that I'm a turkey breast guy. Yeah.
It's really not. Yeah, I always make fun of Glenn because he is into like the all-American girl. In my personal opinion, I feel like he likes like,
which I completely disagree with him.
Blondes with big tits, like
not my thing. Know. It's really
not
my
that
thing.
I don't like blondes with big tits, but I'm into exotic looking bitches.
He definitely is. Like, I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
strong, independent, exotic looking bitches.
Well, my maybe baby mama is very, you know, she's white, but she's very dark skinned with light eyes, you know? Like it's I don't really have, my ex-wife was a brunette.
You could just give me some pictures of them, and then
that's not,
yeah. I could jerk off, and then we'll understand.
Yeah. No, but I get it. I understand why one would think that, like, I was... Shit, Jen used to always accuse me of, that she's, like, liking blonde chicks, too. Like, I'm just like, what is it about? Is it because, like, my mom's blonde that people think I have, like, a mom fetish?
What it is, and what it is with Jen, we're jealous. We just we see all these pretty young things that you're around, and we're just worried that
pretty young things.
We're not gonna get
38 comics. Time. 38 comics last night, right? One Asian chick.
There was an Asian chick there?
Oh yeah, you got there late. You missed it. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying.
It's sad for me. I totally could have fucked her.
Maybe. I don't. I'm not surprised by anything. I try not to be surprised by anything. I expect nothing from any situation. You know, it's a good way to go through life.
I could have fucked her right then and there, dude. I know how to talk to those Oriental people, especially the.
See, that's another term that, like, I don't understand why it's racist.
Oriental?
Yeah, they're like, that's a rug, dude. They're from the Orient.
I think because it's outdated is the most I could say. I don't understand. It doesn't seem prejudicial, but maybe an Asian person could explain to me, like, why it's a bad term. I think we're two white dudes sitting here like, why is Oriental? I really don't know. But I've never heard an explanation. So
yeah, no, it's one of those things that you just kind of just like, oh, okay, you know, like it's one of those things that's just like just okay, and you just accept it. But whatever. Yeah. So it's funny, like, because I feel like there are common bonds between all comedians as far as like, we all have, a lot of us have different styles. Like, from you to me to say, like, James Firth, you know? Like,
James Firth, another dude that was there pretty much when I started.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. But,
And
like,
I think that's, like, all of them that have hung around.
probably, I mean...
There's R.A. Bartlett, but I haven't seen him lately, but I imagine he'll be back.
Alright, I'm gonna... Alright,
So we love you, fucking
Happy
cool
St.
cats and kittens. I want to have sex with your moms. Love you, Lazy Susans. My name's Dillon Walsh.
that is Dillon Walsh, and I am Glenn Guinness, and happy St. Patty's Day. I will not fuck your mother, and,
He'll fuck some of your moms, at least.
probably not. Just, that's my, I mean, I could go with the yes and the improv thing there, but yeah, it's probably not going to happen. So again, my name's Glenn Guinness. This has been an episode of Lazy Susans. Thanks for listening, and happy St. Patty's Day.
I think we're, like, getting better at podcasting.